Hey everyone, this is Kevin from Kevin's Microfleet. Today I've got a Micro Galaxy Squadron review. We're going to be taking a look at the San Diego Comic-Con 2025 exclusive, the Imperial Hangar Bay. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the figures, at the vehicle, at the packaging. We'll do some measurements and we'll do a comparison. Let's go ahead and dive into the review. So I want to start here with the packaging. So first thing is we have this exterior box here, which is Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron. It's got here Darth Vader's TIE Advanced, and then TIE Fighters ×2. You've got Jazwares here on the top. Same thing there on the side. And then here on the back, it does have the description of the actual item that is in there. And then when we open this guy up, we gain a chance to see a very cool looking box. I mean, right away, that red is very striking. You've got your San Diego Comic-Con on there. This is actually not a sticker. So this is actually printed on the actual box, which is different than what they have done in the past where they've actually had a sticker on there. Then you've got your Imperial Hangar Bay, your 6 pieces. And so now let's go ahead and slide this guy out of here. And the packaging on this is really impressive. I mean, it is by far the major selling point of this, but we'll see with the vehicles here in a minute once we get this thing all the way out. So here on the front of the packaging, you get a chance to see there is the Star Wars. This is a glossy finish. You can see this outline here. This is actually the TIE Advanced, and then you have 2 TIE Fighters there. It does say something down here in Arabic, and then here is the other side. So you get a chance to see just part of like that hangar wall that you would end up having. Then as we flip this guy around, here is the rest of the packaging. So there is the UPC. You can see this was made in May 21st of 2025. And then again, here is this side of the packaging here. Like that. So same on either side. So then on the side, you actually do have this window to be able to see through. So you can see there is Vader's TIE Fighter, and then you also have your 2 TIE Fighters there in the back. It's kind of hard to see through this. Now, obviously with the light there, it's going to distort a little bit of it, but and then here is what it looks like on this side. It does have Star Wars here that is transparent as well, which is very cool. So now let's go ahead and slide this guy out of the sleeve as we have with all of the other packages. And now we have it out. So you can see, unfortunately, with this one, that the wing on Vader's TIE Fighter is actually not fully connected. And then you can see that's why it looks that way. And then you can see your 2 TIE Fighters in there as well. And so you have here in the background, so you do actually have pieces of the cardboard that are kind of molded like that, or you can see the perforated edge there where they folded it to make it look like a hangar bay. And then you have your hangar bay floor here, which looks pretty nice. So it's about what I would expect. Kind of, it's still a glossy cardboard there. You can actually see the ripples in there from the cardboard, but it does have that cool design on it. And then it says Micro Galaxy Squadron on it. As we turn this thing around to the back, there is nothing on the back. So where you normally would have a blueprint layout that would then be able to show the vehicles as well as be able to cut out the blueprints if you wanted to keep them, it doesn't have that. It doesn't have that on the bottom either. It just has the power button here to be able to power on the lights. And then as we turn this guy around to see the top, you can see there it is, 2025 SDCC exclusive. So when you turn the lights on, the good thing is that this packaging, while they had a lighted packaging before for an SDCC item, you can see this one actually does have the batteries right there. So you can go ahead and change the batteries out if you wanted. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that on so that way you can see what it looks like. So there you can see the little LEDs that are inside of it on the top and on the bottom, which turn on. So now let me go ahead and turn out the lights. That way we get a chance to see what this looks like in the dark with it just being lit up. So now I have this here with just the lights on, no other lighting on in the room. It is completely dark in here. And this is a very cool looking box with it like this. You can see here as I turn this to the side, there you get a chance to see Vader and the 2 TIE fighters. Now, the only thing that I'm not crazy about with this set is how the TIE fighters and Vader's TIE are positioned in the box. Because they have those clear plastic pieces they're sitting on top of, and then they decided to put these plastic pieces that go around the wings, it really doesn't look very good in the box like this. So you'd think this is the major selling point. This is why you would want to have this, and you'd want to be able to position them in here to be able to turn the lights on and see it all. But unfortunately, these giant plastic pieces that they put on there really take away. I mean, you can see the TIE fighters that are in there. The pieces that the TIE fighters are sitting on, you have the entire ball point, or the ball of the cockpit is down inside of the plastic it's sitting on top of. So I get the whole idea behind it, but same thing with Vader's TIE. You can see here, look at how the plastic piece there comes up over the top of the cockpit, so you can't even see out of the cockpit. And then it's got that other strap on there, plastic strap to hold that thing down. So really cool idea. I do enjoy the idea of having the box. I am going to open this thing up and take all of that plastic off of there, and then hopefully it will look a little bit better with it in that position. Or I might just even have these things sitting down flat on the actual box to be able to display it that way. Because unfortunately, I just don't really like the way it looks like that with all of those little plastic pieces all over it. But either way, that's what it looks like with the thing lit up. And let's go ahead and open this box up so that way we can take a look at the actual vehicles. So now I have this removed from the packaging, and so you can see a little bit more of what this looks like. This is all a cardboard shell. So as I turn this thing around at the back, you can see how this thing is constructed with all put together. And it is taped really well. So the LED strips that they're using here are, again, a really nice touch. I do like that feature to this. The rest of the packaging, I wish they had done something a little bit different than the cardboard, just because you can see the those ribs there in the cardboard on the backing and down here on the bottom. But I do love the idea. This is one of the first boxes that we're getting that's kind of like a playset. So it's one of the things that they haven't really been able to do, but this kind of starts to move them down that line. But let's go ahead and take these TIE fighters out of here, and then we'll take a look at them. So now I have all of the items out of the packaging. The one cool thing that they did do here is you do have Vader's cape, which is in this little plastic thing underneath there, which was cool. And another thing that is just something that I am not crazy about with this set is when you unclip all of the little plastic things that held the items in place, you can see they fall down inside of this plastic piece. And so the only way to be able to get it out is you have to try to pry this thing up and then shake them out, because it seems like these pieces here are tucked underneath the cardboard and taped to the bottom. So you would have to just totally rip the box completely apart, which I'm not interested in doing, to be able to take this thing off, so that you can either get those pieces out of there, or you got to break this thing to be able to do it. So again, I'm not sure how else they could have designed the packaging to be able to do this, where it's just not displayed the same exact way with this piece. But again, here, if I take the TIE fighter and go ahead and try to push this thing back in here, it does look better with the with all of those rubber bands and everything off of it. But even still, it's just, there has to be a better way to do this, to where you don't have this thing sitting down inside the packaging like that, where now the whole view of the cockpit is totally obstructed by this piece of plastic here that's in the front. And it's the same thing here with the Vader one that's on the front side. It does the same thing. But again, can't really get these pieces out. You kind of have to just tuck them in there and then deal with them in the bottom of the packaging. So with a little bit of shaking and bending, I was able to get most of those little plastic pieces out of there. You can kind of lift up on it like that. Some of them are a little bit easier to get them to move, like you kind of bend it that way to be able to open enough of a gap to try to shake those little pieces of plastic out, if you did want to remove those and be able to have them still inside the package. Now we'll go ahead and take a look at our different Vader figures. First thing we have is our Series 1 Vader, then we have our Series 5 Rare Jedi Interceptor Vader, and then we have our SDCC version. All of the capes are the same, so we won't take a bunch of dives into that, but that is what the cape looks like just for a frame of reference. So you can see definitely a difference there between the Series 1 version and then both of the versions, the SDCC as well as the Rare version, that there is silver added to the top of his shoulders as well as on this little chest piece there as well. And then you also have some detailing there on the whatever this mechanism is that's on his stomach. So on the left side there is nothing other than just the silver on his belt, and now we have a little bit more paint application on there. You can also see the difference in the foot size. So this has changed since Series 1. Series 1 they had, I would say, slightly thinner feet, maybe even slightly more, I don't know, in scale relative to the figure. But then they started to widen the feet out to be able to give a little bit easier chance for them to stand on their own without falling over. Here's what the back looks like. So again, you can see there is the silver there on the back. And again, on the shoulders looks really nice. So, I would say maybe we could call this a premium deco Vader. There's not a whole lot more that you could do with them other than just putting some colors there, again, on that little plate there that's on the front of his body. But for the most part, the sculpt looks to be about the same, nothing really different. Again, the cape is the same as well, other than the slight change in the legs here between Series 1 and then these other versions. So now we'll take a look at our TIE pilots. And if we start on the far left, this is our Series 1 TIE pilot. Then we have our Black Squadron, and then we have our two TIE pilots that come inside the TIE fighters in the SDCC set. So you can see with our Series 1 to the Black Squadron, significant changes. So obviously you have the two white dots on the helmet, which now have been changed for the Imperial cog. You can then see this does have some silver pinstriping down the side of the pants as well as the side of the arm. And then beyond that, everything else is about the same. So then as we go to the SDCC versions, they are the same as the Black Squadron. Unfortunately, there is no difference. So the sculpt looks to be the exact same. The cog on the helmet, the stripe there on the top of the helmet, as well as the pinstripe down the sides. I do really love this style TIE fighter and pilot, and I'm glad that they're doing these upgraded versions. I hope we get more and more of these as the line continues, just because it's so cool to have the figures that have such great detail. I mean, to be able to see the Imperial cog there on the top of the helmet, and for the positioning of it to be in a pretty good spot is a huge win. So I do love that feature to them. But all of these are, the TIE pilots are the same as what we're getting with the other versions. Now, it might look like this one is a little bit bigger than the one on the left. They're not. It's the same. It's just not pushed down as far on the blue tack. But those are your pilots. Now we'll take a look at Vader's TIE Fighter. So the TIE Fighter doesn't have a whole lot of different features to it. So it does have removable wings. So we'll be able to see this here. They can both come off. Now, the one thing, this was a very early design for Series 1, and so I wish they had changed this slightly with an updated version of it, but you can see how the wing connects in and it has these little slots there for the part on here to the side of the hull to be able to fit, but it doesn't click in place. So when you have it in hand, if you just pinch the front like that, the wings will just pop off. So for those who want to play with this, it's a little more challenging to do that just because depending on how you hold it, the thing might pop off. Now, the other feature that this does have is an opening cockpit. So we can pop that guy open, which you can see right away. There's a little tab right there, which we'll look at here as a comparison in a second. And you do have the little button here on the bottom to eject Vader out. So as you push up on that, you can see the seat in there pops up. And then you do have a little engine compartment here to be able to pull up on this thing to see what the engine looks like on the inside. And there you can see our premium deco, which is the silver on there, as well as this piece is painted also. So, I mean, I would consider this to be a premium deco version of the Vader's TIE Fighter. You can also see here from the front, these little pieces there on the inside of those turrets is also gray as well, which does look to be just, I can't tell whether or not that's painted or just a different piece of plastic. Looks like it might be painted in there. Now beyond that, there's not really a whole lot else you can do with this, to be honest. So there is the date right there, 5/21. And I mean, beyond doing that little engine piece on there, I mean, the only other thing you could do is potentially do some battle damage. However, if this guy is taking off from the Imperial hangar, it makes sense that there wouldn't be any battle damage on it yet. So let's do a couple measurements of this really quick, and then we'll do some comparisons. So if we're looking at this guy from front to back, this is about 3 3/4 inches. From side to side, we're looking at about 3 inches. And then top to bottom here, it's about 2 inches, maybe 2 1/4 inches. So now if we compare this to the Series 1 version of the Vader's TIE Fighter, you can see a definite difference in the color. So the Series 1 version is much more of a blue color than the SDCC version, where you can see it's a little more of a grayish tone. And then you obviously have your differences here in the opening piece on the cockpit, where you can pull up on that tab to be able to open it. I mean, I think I appreciate the idea behind that, but I don't think that this version is that much more difficult to open because it doesn't have a latch that clicks it in place. You can literally just pop that thing open without any issue at all. So while I appreciate them changing that slightly, I don't know that it's super necessary to do that. So you can see here on the front window as well, the difference between the version, the Series 1 version that's painted, and then this version, which is painted just a darker color, as well as obviously these little thin things in there are also painted. And then as we turn this guy around and we get a chance to see the interior here of the engine, again, you can see there is the painted version versus this one, which is unpainted. So it's very similar to what you had with the Kylo Ren silencer, the premium version that had a bunch of paint in the engine, which is really cool. Although you're typically not going to see that much if you have the vehicle all put together anyways. But that is that. Now, as we look at these two, again, I think from the left to right, totally your own opinion on whether or not you like one versus the other. I mean, I think the Series 1 looks a little bit more like what I would imagine Vader's TIE Fighter to look like. However, I do appreciate the fact that we are getting something slightly different with the SDCC version, just because we have that paint on the interior as well as those little flaps on there in a slightly different color of it. I think if we had gotten the exact same vehicle as what we got originally, that'd be a little more of a letdown. But overall, that is your Vader TIE. So one last thing I do want to point out about the Vader's TIE here is that when you put Vader inside the cockpit, you can't actually have him with his cape. So while we have the cape as an accessory, there is nowhere to be able to put this. So if we go ahead and put Vader in here, okay, so now we've got Vader in there. So if I tried to put his cape inside, even if I tried to fold this up some, you can't stuff it down in there enough for you to be able to store it. So unfortunately, you will have to have this thing floating around. With the case designed the way that it is for the SDCC version, it is nice that you're able to store this actually underneath the vehicle. So that'll be a little bit of a bonus. So now I have the Action Fleet Vader's TIE Fighters here, and there are two different versions of the Action Fleet ones. There was a larger version and then a slightly smaller version. So you can see the difference between the wingspan and then as well as just the depth of the vehicle is just slightly different. But the whole thing, so I'll compare this to the one that's a little bit more in scale with Vader's TIE. And so now you can see what those two look like. Again, the Action Fleet version relative to the Micro Galaxy one. I think the Micro Galaxy one does look a little bit better. Action Fleet was really more about just trying to get it inside of a specific size of box and have the vehicle be a similar size. They weren't actually designed to be in scale with one another. But there's a cool comparison of the two so you can just see what they look like next to one another. So now we'll take a look at the TIE fighters that come in this SDCC set. And many of us were concerned that this was just the Series 1 TIE, just reintroduced in a new packaging. And that is accurate. So beyond having the figures updated to have the Black Series, or sorry, the Black Squadron version of the TIE pilot, you'll actually see here if we're looking at the actual TIE fighter itself, there really isn't anything different from a deco perspective. So there aren't any upgraded pieces to it. There's no upgraded color. If we pull this back to where we would have the engine is unpainted as we had previously. And then, both of them are the same. So I did look at both of them. They both are the exact same, no difference in the updating of the back of that. And so there are a couple features to this though. So we have our opening cockpit, which is nice. They didn't do that tab on it, which is great because we don't really need it. But there we can close that. You can see the top of the cockpit here is painted instead of being transparent. And then the wings do pop off of this, so we can pull this off. They are on like a little D adapter there, D-shaped adapter, so you can interchange the wings if you wanted to flip them on one side or the other. They're the same on both sides. And then the major thing that will denote this being the SDCC version is going to be the date that's on here. So you can see there's the 5/21/2025 on there. And so those are your two TIE fighters, but let's do a couple measurements really quick. So for this guy, he's about 3 inches wide, slightly under it. And then top to bottom is 4 inches, front to back is just over 3 1/4 inches. Now, I do want to show this guy compared to the standard Series 1 version. So here is the Series 1 version. Again, we can see that just by the date. So there's 3/17/2022. You can actually see there is 004. That's the actual number of this in the line. And so you can see with them side by side. Let me just move this one out of here since it's the same. So you can see those guys look the same. No real difference. Same type of glossy finish on the these actual solar panels on there. As we turn this guy around to be able to look at the back, we'll see again, here is the back is the same. No difference on there. Now, the other one that I did want to show this compared to, make sure I get the right one here, is the Black Squadron. So this is one where, again, I think just because of what the playset, or not playset, but what this actual set is designed to be, which is the TIE fighters coming out of the Imperial hangar bay, they should all be in good shape and not damaged at all. So that does make sense for them to look that way. It would have been nice if we had gotten the updated, at least the canopy, to where it is transparent. That would have been a nice little nod to something being slightly different. But here is the actual Black Squadron version, and so this is the version that does have some battle damage. You do get 5 TIE fighters in that set, and 2 of them have some type of deco change on them. So you can see you got your little score marks and then the one little blaster mark there right on the side of the hull. So, but that is what your Black Squadron looks like. And again, there's nothing in there on the engine. So either way, that is what you get with your TIE fighters. So now I have this all put back together. All of the little plastic tabs have been removed. The little pieces around the wings have been changed as well. And it does look better, to be honest, with all of that stuff out of there. Still not crazy about the little plastic piece there over top of the cockpit. I do understand why they're there, because certainly as you remove those pieces out, all of the things that hold it in there, you actually can clip these things back down into those plastic holders to be able to hold them still if you wanted to do that. But I do want to do a quick measurement of this for any of those collectors out there that are going to be getting this and want to know how big it is. So it is roughly a foot. It's just slightly over 12 inches from side to side. Top to bottom is about 7. And then here front to back, it's like just over 9 inches. So if you were planning to keep it in the packaging, when you do have that sleeve over top of it, it changes it slightly, but not by much in terms of the actual size of the packaging. But that is what you've got here for the San Diego Comic-Con Micro Galaxy Squadron Imperial Hangar Bay review. If you liked this, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out my Etsy page where I've got links for a bunch of different flight stands for these vehicles and more. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to catching everybody on the next review.